from parents that just leave their kids with random people and ruining weddings. Entitled parents. Just waiting for Skitten to come back, so we're gonna have Internet Girlfriend here with us. And shouts out to Fresh, the YouTube channel, for giving us all these dank ass stories of bad parents with maybe kids who don't realize that their parents are douchebags. So let's get into it. This shit is fucking crazy, bro. There'd be no way I'm gonna let somebody else ruin my damn wedding because they got badass kids.
r/entitled parents having a ton of fake content.
Oh yeah.
Now, I do have one more story left for you guys, but before we get to that, I want to read a brief post from another user on this subreddit, and I think it sums up a lot of the issues with fake stories pretty well. Dear r/entitled parents users, thank you for the fun times and good stories I got out of this Reddit. I've laughed, I've cringed, and I've sympathized with you guys over terrible parents and their bratty kids. This was a truly wonderful Reddit for the brief period I was involved. But since this is the internet, all good things must get exploited and beaten with a stick until it dies. I know that I'm not the only Redditor that is sick of all the fake, mom blatantly attempts to rob me, then claims I stole her, insert item here, and assaulted, molested, or harassed her. I get my stuff back in the end, she's banned from the establishment, and everybody claps type stories. I'm not dumb enough to assume that people don't make up posts for karma. In fact, r/quitYourBS is one of my favorite subreddits. If you lie about a post you make and nobody finds out, good on you. As long as it's entertaining and you aren't stealing content, nobody really cares. But these posts on this sub are getting out of hand and are pretty much copy-pastes of each other with the names changed. Be more original. I'm positive everyone has at least one EP in their life if they look hard enough. According to Creative, I don't doubt that there's a handful of psychopaths out there, but I don't believe that they exclusively target people who use Reddit. This is mostly a message to vent and
I don't think they specifically target Reddit users. I just dropped a little squishy thing that goes into the thingy thing, and now I can't find it. It's easier when Skitten's here because I can just blame her for losing it.
Now back to your regularly scheduled content.
Yeah, I just skipped over the last part of that because obviously there are going to be posts on here that are fake. We've experienced a shit ton of posts that we know are fake, but we're here for entertainment, man. We get it, but I think all of us have a pretty good idea of what concepts, that you should be following as an adult, and when you raise your children, just be generally kind, all those kind of things. But entitled parents are gonna exist, you know what I mean? And even if these things are just like exaggerated truths and all that, we can kind of pick the difference. I do have kind of like an irritation with people who always want to be the victim in their personal stories, but it just seems different when you pick from such a variety of stories from the internet of people you don't know or see. I have less of an issue with it. But Reddit is a little bit different, because if it's fake, you kind of just like move on.
Kid has a crush on my best friend, so her mom emails my mom and says I may be pregnant to get me to stop hanging out with her kid's crush.
Oh my God.
So basically, in 4th grade, I was a tomboy and hung around with guys most of the time. I was always hanging out with my best friend.
Now I see why he decided to give that little disclaimer first before he read this story.
So me and Tim would hang out every day after school and then walk home together since we lived really close. We would throw around a football and occasionally play soccer with some other dudes or play at the park. Entitled kid gets mad at me at school one day because I'm hanging out with Tim and she liked him. She said I'm hogging him and am obviously in love with him and we probably do stuff.
Damn!
I said, no, he's my friend and I don't hog him. If you want to hang out with him, just ask him. She hits me in my stomach and storms off. Now, I don't know what she told her mom, but 2 days later, my mom got an email from hers. It said that I have been probably partaking in sexual acts with Tim since we hang out a lot, and it looks like I've been getting bigger, so there may be a possibility I was pregnant and should be forbidden from seeing Tim. My mom was shocked at the email and did ask me if I was doing sexual things with my friend, and I said no, and she believed me since I don't even know what sexual things really are yet. I haven't even gotten my period yet, so of course I wasn't pregnant. I don't know what my mom said back because she didn't tell me, she just said she handled it. Thinking about it now, she probably went crazy on the entitled parent. Isn't it amazing how EPs are willing to make themselves look crazy in order to please their kids? Also, she talked to Tim's mom and then his mom didn't let him hang out with me anymore. I guess she got what she wanted and boom, 2 years later, entitled kid and Tim were a thing. On the plus side,
Okay.
middle school relationships are
That's not
usually about
bad.
as
It could have been worse, I think. Like, definitely. That story is definitely a little iffy, but stuff like that does happen. There's a lot of fucking people who, like, just post shit like that. So, yeah, that's not bad, dude. Let's get into one more before we're done shooting for the day. I love these. These are fucking crazy.
hospital thief. When my youngest son was little, he spent a lot of time in hospitals. Too much. When he was going through any type of painful procedure, he had a dancing clown that played soft music that he concentrated on to help stop the panic and help with the pain. It was a very adorable clown.
I think a lot of people can relate, especially when they were younger, to being in the hospital a lot, dude. I was in the hospital a ton.
When he was 6 years old, he had to have a major surgery, life or death type of surgery. He was so sick. Of course, the clown was with us. With my son being in pain, I had that clown going 24/7. The child in the room next to us was, as I found out later, going through chemo. Unfortunately, she wasn't handling it well physically. She would cry all night long. Poor baby. Around 11 p.m. on our third night, my son woke up to the little girl's cries. I go to start the clown and he stops me. He asked me to give his clown to the baby crying. Since my son was drugged up, I asked him if he was sure as he was going to need it. He told me that she needed it more than him because she can't stop crying. Yeah, that was a proud mama moment. So I go to the next room with the clown and peek in to see if anyone is awake. Both the mother and child are. I knocked, explained why I was intruding, started up the clown, and handed him over. Like me, the mother kept that clown going almost continuously.
That's
2
adorable.
days later, the mother stopped by our room and asked if she could use the clown again. We didn't have it. I went up to the nurse's station, explained that the clown was given to the little girl and was now gone. I wanted it found. Now. 5 days without much sleep made me a bit cranky. It was found, fortunately, and given back to the little girl. One of the nurse's aides had taken it for her child because, quote, well, that girl wasn't going to need it much longer and my daughter likes clowns. I don't know if she got fired, but I didn't see her again. Now, when I started reading this story, I believed that the entitled parent in this scenario had to be the mother who this clown was loaned to, right? But to find out that a nurse in this hospital took it from 2 sick children to give to her own child, I have no words for that.
Borderline, because people who work in hospitals do become a little bit numb to the part that makes us kind of shocked, like kids dying and stuff like that. But if you work there, not like you get used to it, but you definitely see things differently than we do. You know what I mean? I can understand that. But then it's like you stole it from them while they were still alive? Like, what? That's insane, dude. If that should happen, that's fucking awful.
Your kid don't need to follow our
fucking
rules.
Awful.
Many years ago, when my significant other and I had only been married a few years and our oldest and only at the time child was not quite a year old, we purchased a brand new living room set. This was a big deal for us since we both grew up in low-income households, and at that point, neither of our families had yet ever owned a living room set that wasn't a worn-out hand-me-down.
I still don't have one.
It was also the first time we had any furniture ourselves that was brand new. We wanted to keep it as nice as possible, so we mostly refrained from eating or drinking on it, and whenever we had guests, would request that they do as well. Well, you guys seen
the Kingdom Hearts gameplay, right? Like, me and Skitten definitely eat on our couch, and I would be appalled if we had a new couch right now, because that shit gets messy as fuck, boy.
This was relatively easy since the small duplex we lived in at the time had a combination living room, dining room area, so if we were watching TV, you could still see it and stay involved in any conversation going on with no issue. One day, my significant other invited several coworkers and their spouses to our place for dinner and a movie. I had met most of the coworkers and had only met 1 or 2 of the spouses. One of these couples had a child, a son who was about 3 or 4, and we encouraged them to bring him along. I had never met this particular couple before. The husband was my significant other's coworker and was going to be relocating to another state in the next couple months. As per usual, when the food was ready, I let everyone know that they were welcome to sit in the living room after they were finished with their food and drinks, but to please keep all food and beverages in the dining room. I happened to notice the child's, referred to as C, mom, referred to as EM or entitled mom from now on, give her husband, referred to as entitled dad, a maliciously amused look. It raised my antenna, so I watched them as I fixed my toddler a plate and sat him in his high chair. Everyone else was very understanding and accommodating and sat in the chairs provided in the dining area. As everyone chatted pleasantly, I observed EM fixing herself and C a plate. Sure enough, when she was finished loading the plates, she walked right over to our couch and directed her son to sit down and handed him his plate.
No! Hell no!
I looked over at my significant other, who at the time was very non-confrontational, and sort of motioned for him to address
Come on, man.
SO just hopelessly shrugged at me, indicating that we should just leave them alone. Now, I knew that she had heard me and realized that the look she gave ED had meant she was going to try and challenge my request.
That's messed up, bro.
So I was already prepared to deal with this.
So this is the stories I like. Stories that are about very simple things that mean a lot to you personally, that have a lot of detail. That shit I always think is more true and exaggerated in realistic ways because it's about how you felt. The ones I don't believe are the ones that are like extraordinary scenarios that don't make any fucking sense. That's why I'd be so upset when people tell me that my little fucking stories they don't understand or believe, because they're about very specific shit that like I would notice because I'm living in my apartment or some shit. It's like having this new couch or like having a new game system or some shit like that, or a new controller or some shit. Like, this shit seems like so true, because you would have a fucking issue with that shit, man.
Rolling my eyes at SO, I walked over to EM, who was getting ready to walk away to bring C a drink to hold as well.
You really not finna do that.
And said sweetly but firmly, "Oh, I'm sorry, entitled mom. I thought everyone heard me when I said before dinner that we'd like for everyone to keep food and drinks."
I'm sorry, bro. You gonna have to keep it rolling, bro. Move that shit to the other room.
There's plenty of room for you and C over at the table. If you guys move over there, I'll be happy to bring you your drinks. EM just stared me down for a few seconds, and I stared back with a smile that didn't quite meet my eyes. She then sighed huffily, turned to C, and said, "C, do you want to sit at the table?" C said, "No," then whined, "Why can't I sit here?" Entitled mother then said in response, rather dramatically, "I don't know, C," then turned to me and somewhat smugly asked me, "Would you like to explain to C why he can't sit here? Whenever we tell him no, we explain why to him."
Hey, okay. See, there's nothing wrong with you saying that. And that's why I like this story. Like, you know, you fucking exaggerate how she said that shit, but that's the rule of the household. Hey, when we tell them no, we tell them why. You didn't tell us why. We don't know why we can't. And that's why we have an issue here. So just tell a woman why, and she'll make her kid move. But it's still irritating.
I guess entitled mom thought that I wouldn't be able to bear laying down the rules to her precious darling. Faking an understanding nod, I turned towards C, leaned down to his level, and explained, "In my house, we don't eat in the living room because I said so." I then took the plate from him, beamed a helpful smile at EM, and told C that I had a seat just for him at the table. As I set his plate at the table, he started to have a meltdown. Entitled Dad walked up with his own plate and asked Entitled Mom what was wrong, although he was looking at me as he asked, so I'm not sure he knew exactly what was happening. EM testily said, "He's upset because the rules weren't explained to him." They both spent about 10 minutes trying to calm him down and explaining why he couldn't sit on the couch. Sometimes people have rules at their houses that we don't understand. I don't remember how long they stayed afterwards, but I think they either left before the movie started or not long after, because C hadn't stopped whining. Aside from being kind of bratty, he seemed like he was also crabby and needed a nap. Entitled Mom apologized that they had to leave, repeating that he just gets so upset when the rules aren't explained to him.
Though.
After they left, everyone else seemed slightly embarrassed by her. One of the coworkers commented that the few times he'd met EM, she seemed a little out there. Really, I asked. She seems more like an asshole to me. We all shared a laugh, and it seemed to put everyone at ease knowing they could speak freely around me. Needless to say, even if they hadn't been moving, EM, ED, and C wouldn't have been coming over again after that.
Wow, that's fucking wild, bro. I know some people like that. But yeah, it's just so fucking frustrating dealing with people who like, they want to make a point, but they don't want to tell you directly what their point is. And you're just like, dude, we explained what I had to say already. You don't have to like, well, I just don't understand it. Like, dude, you do understand it. I just told you why. Like, we don't eat over here. So that's why we don't eat over here. It's that simple, man. Skidden deals with that kind of stuff way better than I do. I'm just like straight up with that shit, and I just let people deal with it. So, are you coming in here?
I was trying to sneak in.
But you played a video.
The phone did it without my permission.
Okay, yeah, come on in. But yeah, that's just fucking wild, dude. I'm gonna have Skidden join me for the next one that I do of these, and I'll holler at you guys later, man. Peace.